Proust famously said that we're healed from suffering by experiencing it. And this is a dark album that explores suffering on so many levels. But is it any good? Let's find out, shall we? Welcome Classic Rock fans to an episode of New Album Review. If you're new here, please do click like, do all that stuff. And if you have a moment, check some of the links below this video for ways you can support the sterling work done here at Classic Album Review. Today we're looking at this album, A Dying Planet When the Sky Turns Grey. Jason Tipton, the guy who was behind 0 Hours, very much the creative drive behind this one as well. Those of you interested in prog with a more metallic sheen, or prog metal if you want to call it that, will certainly be interested in this one. It seems to be this theme or motif in prog metal of dystopian narratives or things just falling apart or not being as what they should be. I'm worried about these guys not getting enough vitamin D. I suppose the more waggish amongst you might say, well, that's a consequence of the sky turning grey. Which brings us to the title of this album. We have to wonder whether or not it's an eco message or whether it's just a metaphor for one's life turning to shit. First thing that strikes you about this album is how good it sounds. The production is bloody marvellous. And you also get these delightful melodic lines as well, wrapped up in these interesting percussive elements and excellent guitar leads as well. This whole album, in terms of its themes and ideas, certainly strikes a chord with me, be it a heavy, distorted one at that, while at the same time evoking an almost dreamy atmosphere in places. And the dynamics of this music is quite intriguing, it's quite intense in places, yet also moves to some rather beautiful synth work, shall we say. We get this spacious and pristine sound and wonderful guitar tone to boot. Paul Villarreal, I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, Villarreal it looks like, please forgive me if I've got it wrong. I mean, his voice is so good on this. Not only solid in its execution, but it's involving and melodic. Not that the album needs any help along those lines with Jason Tipton's emotive leads. When the Sky Turns Grey is quite an anthemic album, and we could all do with a bit of that, blow away those lockdown cobwebs. But the lyrics explore various issues, really. They seem to be speaking of failing relations and failing communication, while the music and the vocal melodies are, at the same time, quite beguiling and enigmatic. It's a nice juxtaposition between the two. This is overall an ambitious, dramatically compelling slice of prog. It contains 6 tracks. It leads off with the title track. It begins with some very atmospheric and dark textures, which very much sets the tone straight away, a tone that's established from the wonderful rich melodic guitar lines as well as the resonant bass, which is definitely worth a mention. The lyrics are emotionally fraught and angst-ridden, detailing personal struggles, emotional loss, all communicated via the gorgeous guitar music and twists, as well as the seemingly effortless vocal performance. It's a dark album wherein the message of hope or transcendence, I think, is obtained within the melodic lines. A sonic beacon, a glimmer of hope, I suppose, when the skies turn grey. So let's think about the actual tracks on the album. When the Sky Turns Grey is the first one. I love the start of it, this chiming, otherworldly feel that seems to rise up before it explodes into this cacophony of bass drums and lead lines. You get this deep, rattling, resonant bass here, and such a warm melodic voice on this one that's double-tracked. It sounds as if it's double-tracked to me. The voice adds something of the human, the humane. It's a very ominous sounding number. Unbroken is one of the lines in this one, and I love the way he sings Take Me Away. It's an almost Hogarthian yearning. I'm talking about Steve Hogarth here, not the 18th century satirical moralist. This wonderful blending of voice. The system is broken, it's like a vocal round, which leads into a pretty demonic sounding midsection instrumental part, I have to say. But we are rescued from reaching for the Prozac by the melodic guitar line in this. I know I've said that before, but it really comes to the fore in this one. Honouring Your Name is a thunderous metallic number, almost has an industrial feel to it, before Villarreal's voice provides us with a raft to cling to amid the turbulent ocean that is this music. And this number's made even more intense by the drumming, the urgency of the drumming on this. It has to be said, it's got that abrasive crunch that's very familiar with this genre. But I also love the very jangly guitars on this as well. There's a slight pop sensibility to it, I think. It's a bit like Metallica melded with Mike and the Mechanics. What a heady brew that would be. hope for tomorrow. I really enjoy the opening jangle of this one, and the percussive cymbal clash that introduces the vocals. Some wonderful, gorgeous percussive and bass work on here. The lighter instrumentation, repetitions of the words holding on, melded with the optimistic and triumphant guitar parts, I think introduces a spark of hope on an album that feels at times unbearably dark. I think it's absolutely brilliant the way the guitars chime away in the background like some distant sirens. Embrace, on this one, the vocals have a dark, mournful quality to them. This is a number that approaches the 15-minute mark, so you've got to buckle yourself in for this one. It has some clever twists and turns, which all good prog should do. The music is quite intense and takes some rather murky places in our heads, it has to be said. Thankfully, we get some quieter sections that feel like a well-needed respite from the intensity of it all. Remembering the loved ones we have lost. I love that. Before we're machined gun again by the sheer brutality of this number and its staccato rhythm. Far From Home is an acoustic vibe to it, which is kind of welcome after so much of that heavy guitar sound. That warm thrum of the bass before the vocals announce air raid sounds and flashes of confusion. It certainly seems to be a number about loss and yearning. The track changes between abrasive and mellower moments before we get these heavier flourishes punctuated by these beautiful and haunting acoustic passages. I struggle to open my eyes, he sings. This is a number I think that will undoubtedly draw comparisons between this band and those prog metal titans, Dream Theater. Unwelcome comparisons or not, I don't know. But it's certainly along those veins rather than the more eclectic brew that is European prog, and there's a smidgen of Rush thrown in as well. It's excellent the way the singer's words sort of soar majestically, as especially while he utters the song title during the drilling outro. A Father's Love. I love the synth work at the start of this one that just seems to swirl around. The strumming of an acoustic guitar and the softer tones of beautifully underpinned sentiments like "You will always be loved endlessly, you're a shining star." Seems extremely poignant. It helps to communicate a specific message in this number. It makes me think of legacy and the legacy that we leave in the hearts of those we leave behind. Reminds me of my own father's passing in many respects. Then it ends with some enigmatic synth trills, which just underpins what a beguiling and intriguing album this is. It's no wonder it's on so many people's top 10 prog lists for this year. So to conclude, if you like to dwell on the dark side of the moon, you might well enjoy this one. I don't think it's as dark as something like the Mars Volta's Comatoria album. I can't remember the title exactly. It's not as dark as that in terms of theme and story and narrative. So When the Skies Turn Grey is thematically murky, but sonically quite vibrant and arresting. I'd give it a go if I were you. I know you've been watching a new album review. If you've managed to watch to this point, I thank you wholeheartedly for doing just that. Be sure to check out some of the videos that are appearing here. And other than that, stay well, stay healthy, stay COVID-free, and more importantly, that you keep listening.